Welcome back. Now first, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, has condemned political parties for encouraging their supporters to invade collation centers after polls closed on Saturday, December 7. Speaking on Newsfile earlier today, senior researcher and analyst at CODEO, Rhoda Osei-Afo, stressed that securing collation centers is crucial for ensuring the integrity of any polls.
For me to just focus on the EC and discount the role of the other actors, the political parties, in terms of where we have ended up, right? I believe strongly that mantra that we need to invade collation centers or police stations in terms of calling on supporters and all of that, I think it's not a great approach to addressing one problem, okay? I know that there are some concerns that parties have, that candidates have, but we don't create other problems by trying to solve one particular problem. So if we believe there are issues about trust, that we cannot trust certain people in terms of their delivery on certain responsibilities, can we look at an approach that doesn't, in the process, create other problems? Okay, so every party, and the good thing is that for almost all collation centers, almost all police stations, we have our two leading parties having their agents present. Almost always we have the NPP and the NDC being present at about 99%, almost 100% of all polling stations. So if these parties are present, copies of result sheets are given to them. I don't see why, if there are any concerns, they cannot resort to these copies that they have and use the legal processes and mechanisms to address these, but rather we choose to call on supporters to come to these collation centers, because in that process, we are not able to address any serious issue at all, right? We end up putting ourselves in the situation that we have found in some of these constituencies where we have found all these issues of violence and challenges with the process.
Well, the National Peace Council says it's making frantic efforts to get feuding parties involved in Friday's recollation dispute at the Tesano Police Training School to resolve the outstanding matter amicably. Chairperson Reverend Dr. Ernest Edu-Jemfi says his outfit is engaging all stakeholders to resolve the outstanding matters except for those already in court.
It will be unfortunate for me to just focus on the EC and discount the role of the other actors, the political parties.
Has been going on between the EC, the police, and the parties. We haven't come to the full consensus yet. As at yesterday, we were still monitoring the situation at the police training depot school to see what the outcome was, until the evening when we were told that the EC had pulled out of the place. The discussions are still ongoing, and we are hoping that between the next few hours or days, we should be able to find some consensus in terms of these things.
All right.
That is, if the parties don't push the issues, all of them, to court. So far, what we have seen in terms of the suit has to do with Nsawam. The others, we haven't seen them yet. And so we assume that only Nsawam Adwajiri is the one that is in contention. But if they push it to cover all the rest, then that will mean that we will have to pull back until the adjudication process is. Well, we will keep on trying. We hope that the parties will give in for us to mediate in this process. Yesterday, a lot of discussion was going on, and we told them, well, look, let's sleep over it, reflect, and find a way out. So today, we will still continue with our negotiation to see how far we can.
You don't see the potential of any difficulties on the 7th where Parliament will be inaugurated? Well,
our hope and prayer is that this issue should be resolved as quickly as possible. You know, on another platform, I was telling the media that, look, business people are looking at doing business for Christmas. They want to sell their goods. They want to make money at the end of the year. And we are not doing all these things overlooking the economics of the country. So people want to do business. We have a project in this country where around Christmas, a lot of people from the diaspora come in to celebrate Christmas here. This tension does not help us economically. And I think that all of us must begin to look at that bit of the country and not look at it only in terms of politics. What does it do in terms of our economics? Now, the tension also will affect the celebration of Christmas. And those in the entertainment industry will also have their effect. People will feel like, I don't want to go out because I don't want to experience all of these things. So the economic bit of our country must also be in focus. So while we're doing all of these negotiations on the side, we are also looking at the benefits of having a peaceful country and allowing people to celebrate the festival that's ahead of us, and also for people to make their money.
But conflict and security analyst Kenno retired Festus Abuaje has blamed the Electoral Commission for the chaos that has characterized the recollation of disputed election results in some constituencies. Now, he says the EC has failed to carry out its mandate in the disputed areas and should take responsibility for the outcome.
The EC must understand that a lot of the violence that we're seeing arise from failures on how they've managed the system. Exactly. Therefore, even if they are not directly responsible for security, they take responsibility for some of the violence and the destruction.
Yes.
Now, I want Ghanaians to appreciate that what is going on, or the violence that has occurred, can be explained in this way. First of all, there has been political vigilantism. Nyankpala and Ewutu-Senya East and Ebuakwa North are clear examples of people who are politically exposed, indeed who are even members of parliament, have resorted to the use of violence by their bodyguards and so on and so forth, upon instructions that they must do A, B, C, D. So political violence has not been resolved. Now, the Ebuakwa North one is very interesting because one of the culprits, one Mr. Ernesti Abua, a.k.a. Double, was involved in Ayawaso, West Rogon. Reference what the Emil Short's commission said. This man has not suffered any consequences. Then he goes back, how many years later? 2019, 2024, goes to Ebuakwa North, and then he shoots again. I think they shot 2 people. Why is this happening? It's happening because the state itself, i.e. the government, has violated the constitution by recruiting persons through dubious means and giving them arms at the national security outfit. And national security is supposed to be a civilian establishment, doing policy analysis, implementation, advice, planning, whatever it is. So that's one source of the violence. Now, this other part, which is attracting a lot of propaganda, initially we thought that it was the NDC hoodlums who were causing the violence. Now now there is evidence, empirical evidence that no, there are NPP members aggrieved, disillusioned, disenchanted, who want their fair share of whatever the cake is before going out of power. So when they went to the passport office, for instance, they were going to look for jobs. When they went to Ghana Gas, they were going to look for jobs, or the harbor for that matter. Now, however, in reaction to this idea of what I call the Wuncheni philosophy, a section of the population, maybe predominantly NDC, now goes to stop the loot. You know, and then you end up with this kind of situation where then, of course, you have mobs or criminals also cashing in.
Okay.
Now, we need to remember that since 2000, and Nanka Bruce's case is very fresh on our minds. And I've suggested that very soon we might see people going to the Flagstaff House or Jubilee because their governments have come to power.
And still on elections, the Young Peace Ambassadors of Rural Engagement and Empowerment Program in Ghana, in collaboration with the National Peace Council, have called on Ghana's security services and stakeholders to address post-election looting, chaos and vandalism of state property nationwide. While acknowledging the frustrations of the youth, the coalition emphasized that violence and destruction are not viable solutions. Here's Martina Bugri's report.
There have been series of looting and attacking of state institutions across the country since the declaration of the 2024 general elections. In the northern region, there have been looting of warehouses of institutions in most of the metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies in the area. It is against this backdrop that the coalition of youth have called for a halt to the chaos. Addressing a press conference in Tamale, member of the Young Peace Ambassadors, Yakubu Barkiso, said it is vital for the youth to understand that their voices can be heard through peaceful means rather than chaos.
Looting and vandalizing state properties not only illegal, but also detrimental to the very fabric of our democracy. Such behavior undermines the principles of governance, trust, and mutual respect that are crucial for a stable society. As a nation, we must acknowledge the frustration and grievances that may have led to these actions. Economic challenges, unemployment, and lack of opportunities are pressing issues that our youth face daily. However, resorting to violence and destruction is not the solution. Instead, we must encourage constructive dialogue and peaceful demonstrations that allow citizens to express their discontent without harming their communities. It is vital for our youth to understand that their voices can be heard through peaceful means that promote change rather than chaos.
She called on all stakeholders to foster constructive dialogue to restore calm in the country.
In light of this event, we urge all stakeholders, government officials, community leaders, and citizens to come together to foster an environment of peace and understanding. It is crucial to engage with the youth, listen to their concerns, and provide platform for open discussions. Initiatives that promote civic education and awareness about the importance of peaceful coexistence can help bridge the gap between the government and the youth, ensuring that their voices are valued and heard.
The youth also commended the vice president for conceding defeat even before the declaration of the results.
It is worth commending the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, for conceding defeat and sending warm wishes and congratulations to the President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, prior to the announcement of the election results by the Electoral Commission.
Let's move away from election-related stories where health officials in the Western region are implementing stringent measures to curb the rise of cholera in the area. 14 people have died so far, with more than 800 suspected cases. Health authorities believe mass vaccination and improved hygiene practices will stem the tide. Athalia Kwanzaa has more on this alarming situation.
The cholera outbreak in Western region getting out of control. Districts like Sekondi, Takoradi Metropolis, Athia, Kwesimintim, Shama, and parts of the Ahanta West district where residents are struggling to cope with the disease rapid spread, hospitals are overwhelmed, with some converting entire wards into cholera treatment centers.
Currently, about eight districts have reported cholera cases, and I must say that up to now, the facilities within these 8 districts have managed over 800 cases, and that is a lot. We have lost 14 people so far. Currently, the epicenter is Sekondi, Takoradi, Ekma, and adjoining districts, Shama, and then Ahanta West. So we are appealing to everybody to take the basic precautions that health people have been telling the population. It's so important. If you don't do that, we are going to lose more people. As soon as anybody starts getting these signs and symptoms, the person must report immediately to the nearest health facility. Please, there is no need to attempt to go to a bigger facility, the nearest facility. That's the most important thing. And we're also encouraging people, if you are getting ready to go to hospital, if there's ORS, let's prepare ORS and start taking it. But nobody should stay at home. We have realized that a lot of people are reporting quite late to a health facility, and this is resulting in deaths and other complications.
To combat the crisis, the Ghana Health Service is launching a mass vaccination campaign from December 15th to 19th in high-risk areas. Dr. Gifty Amugi is Deputy Director of Public Health. She explains the importance of the initiative.
The advent of the surge in the cases of cholera in the region, it has become very important that we vaccinate the populace. The reason is that the vaccination would improve or increase our immunity to the cholera infection. What we need now at this point is to drastically bring down the number of cases that we are getting for the cholera. I repeat that this is not the first line or the gold standard in controlling the cholera management or the cholera outbreak within the region.
Meanwhile, residents are calling for more urgent measures, including a declaration of state of emergency.
Graciously, I have seen the data and I have seen some cases. When you go to CODEO Hospital, for example, all the wards have been converted to Cholera centers. I don't see what Ghana Health Service is doing. I'm begging them, I'm entreating them. They should speak to the regional authorities so that at least we can declare a state of emergency so far as Cholera is concerned at Secondary Takrady. Because almost every day, yesterday we lost about 3 people within the metro. Today we've lost, right now as I talk to you, it's almost 1. We've lost about 2 more. 1 at Kwesi Hospital this morning and 1 at Takrady Hospital.
I personally work in a health facility, so I can tell how serious the outbreak is, and it's actually killing people here. But I think due to the election, people didn't really know how serious the cholera outbreak was.
As a resident of Effiekuma, and knowing that that is also a very, it's part of the cholera-prone areas, it's a bit, I'm skeptical about eating outside.
They say poor sanitation and overcrowding in markets like Jubilee Park are exacerbating the crisis. From Secondary Takrady, I am Natalia Kwanza, reporting for Joy News.
Oh, it's now time to take a break here on JoyNews Prime, but we'll be back with more. Welcome, it's a delight to have you back. The Volta Regional Director of Education, Francis Agbemadi, has reported an increasing trend of same-sex sexual harassment within educational institutions in his jurisdiction. He has expressed concern about this phenomenon, lamenting its serious consequences for the goals of education and society. Mr. Agbemadi was addressing the climax of the Orange the World 16 Days of Advocacy for Safer Schools at Abudomi Senior High School in Chito.
Becoming a pandemic in educational communities across the country. It includes demand for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, and any other unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of a sexual nature. The Volta Regional Director of Education, Francis Agbemadi, hinted of a new trend of sexual harassment in schools.
Some of the cases that have been coming to our office these days is about same-sex harassment. So when we are talking about sexual harassment, we are not only referring to only male, female, but it could be of same sex. Especially when new entrants come like this, those who are in the game already want to take advantage of them. Whether male, male, or female, female, is also sexual harassment. And then the most critical one is about what we call pimping. Pimp. When we say pimp, I think you understand. You don't understand pimp? It's a situation where a lady or a man who of a higher position or seniors. When the juniors come like this, the senior girl will offer the younger girl or the junior girl to another boy. Then he will be taking favors for the boy.
To this effect, the Awudome Senior High School has taken a pragmatic approach to nip sexual harassment in the bud. This includes the introduction of a guideline on reporting sexual harassment and establishing a counseling unit. The school's headmaster, Courage Meteku, shed light on the initiative.
Apart from going verbal, going to maybe the guidance and counselors to report to them, or going to the focal people to report, we have introduced the digital form for reporting, where we believe when the student is at home, after meditating or ruminating upon what had happened to him or her in the school, and at the relax and the cool of the day, could just go online and fill this form for us to work on.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Chito.
Christmas beckons and the nation's capital, Accra, is slowly lighting up after the 2024 general elections. Light decorations have become an integral part of the Yuletide, and the principal streets of the capital and some major landmarks are adorned with beautiful lights. While many remain undecided on what to do or get for the festivities due to the elections, General Manager of Coconut Grove Limited, Ralph Aite, urged Ghanaians not to allow the worsening global economic conditions to ruin their Christmas celebrations.
We got here through discipline, perseverance, building good habits, and providing service. We should challenge ourselves as board members, as managers, as staff, as partners of the hotel, to be a bit better every single day, and to strive to have a better facility every single year, to strive to have a better performance every single year, so we can share the fruits of our labor with our employees, with our stakeholders, including our families and our communities. When the hotel does well, all of the stakeholders benefit. The hotels have been sort of a cornerstone of the group, and they've held the group down and set a great example year after year through good times and bad. We survived Ebola, we survived COVID. Some of you may remember the fire that happened on the other side. We've really gone through a lot. And I'm confident that we can survive anything else that nature or man brings to test us with.
And that's how I part company with you here on JoyNews Prime. But if you want more news, I highly recommend you log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Denise Apomaide. Have a lovely evening.